Good afternoon and most welcome to the factories in Jonsered. This is a bit east of Gothenburg and we are neatly situated in a factory area constructed by the Scottish British industrialist William Gibson in the 19th century. Still stands here to this day, and it's been turned into a museum visiting place with its beautiful buildings. And today it's also sort of a market day, festival of sorts. I have a teacher's manual coming from the famed Alexander teacher Theodor Dimon, the use of the hands in teaching. And I'd say among the Alexander teachers, he's the one that gone most into science. So he's been checking out what is neurologically primary control, what is intention. And in one of the earliest examples I saw from this is of a toddler crawling on the floor, and for the toddler attention and movement is exactly the same thing. It is not first attention and then the decision to move. It moves and it attends. It's simultaneously. Only later children develop the possibility to observe things and not act on them. That is strictly not possible until a certain age in the toddler's life. It is of course in this later development that a certain distance can make itself known. And I would say this distance that establishes in the individual is the same as the Cartesian cut. Theodor Dimon is inviting us to once more align intention, our higher capacity with movement, to make them both refreshant every time we make a thought or a movement, whether we like them to be absolutely the same or we want that to be a difference. As the situation is today, by making them opposites, they mingle into each other. Most high school students today do physical things when they should do mental acts, tensing their bodies unduly, collapsing their head, neck, spine column in a drastic manner, and also thereby collapsing the thinking capacity. There seem to be something in the order of things that gets confused. We do not do things anymore in a proper order, or we forgot how to order our thoughts, this is close connection to how the reality of things has a specific working order. To get into that order is to participate. To make it passive or divided is not to understand it. This Ted Dimon calls interfering with things themselves. Messing up, not letting thinking, acting be natural, flowing. The main reason for tension or malthought or mind wandering or mind fog, as it's often called today, is this faulty perception of thinking, action. Why not put them next to each other and don't see them as separate? They will still be separable, but they will be able to enforce each other. Good thinking should be like a stream, the slow running water of a creek. Fluid, not fixating, not stopping unduly, but slowly, in a viscous, smooth fashion, go forward. This is a description of thinking when it's at its very best, which can be seen, for instance, in an MRI, called effective thinking. Mind wandering or out of focus is just the opposite. It's a very narrow field of attention, where memories do not come by themselves. They have to be forced, beaten out of their coverings. So it's an invitation to become childlike in demeanor and movement, but grown up in the quality of the things. Because when we go into adulthood, we learn, and life is a skill. It used to be the case that the longer you live, the more skilled you become in your thinking, in your moving acts. Your thinking became calmer, more precise, but also more universal when needed. I would say these features most often intermingle, helping each other. I come to think of the Austrian philosopher of science, Paul Feyerabend, who said that modern man lost the ability to be specific when needed and universal when needed. Having no true conception of the difference. And sorry, I need to take my sweater off. It's really enjoying the May weather here. I hope I won't turn it off. keeping my t-shirt in place. It is also, as we said before, being command of thinking. The passivity that is led, I would think, with sharp divisions, causes us to think that thinking is coming from the outside, and that we are ruled by what happens in the outside world. And therefore we get afraid if something terrifying is happening, like a war in Ukraine, Russia, or when there is a heavy inflation, as we are experiencing presently here in Sweden, instead of actively projecting what we want, like the toddler. And speaking of inflation, this tendency for an outside world has a price. It takes a most decisive toil of our doings. It's a heavy burden on all doings, making thinking not so gracious and smooth, and we get these hard patterns in the neurological brain scans. I will read a little bit from chapter 5 and do some exercises when I read a couple of pages to get the understanding. Hands on the Back of the Chair by Dimon, chapter 5. I'm afraid I don't have side markings. We've looked at the directions for the arms when we put hands on the back of the chair. This is one aspect of the procedure that people find somewhat difficult. So it's very helpful to study it, experiment with it a bit in order to get familiar with it. As you get more comfortable doing it, it becomes easier to include into the larger whole when performing the entire procedure, which has a definite purpose that has to be understood to get its full benefit. Of all the procedures Alexander developed, hands on the back of the chair is one of the most important, and also one of the most difficult. Alexander said that if you understand how to do this procedure, you have everything you need to use your hands in teaching. Yet the procedure is rather baffling and technical, and is not by any means easy to understand or to master. It is also the only procedure that Alexander explains in detail in the entirety of his writings, which suggests how important he considered it to be. We have to understand, first of all, that putting hands on the back of the chair is a re-educational procedure, like the whispered R it is meant to bring about specific changes. In this case, in the musculature of the back, disengaging harmful tensions in the flexors and encouraging healthy elastic muscle tone and support in the shoulders and thorax. As such, this procedure is not just a matter of going into monkey and then adding the directions for the arms, because the proper use of the arms really comes out of understanding how the arms coordinate with the trunk and legs as a complete system. So let's look again at the arms in relation to the larger whole. Remember, as you work on this procedure, that it is meant to be a work in progress. Very important. There is no finish termination here. It's very right brain. No correct procedure, but a development. If you do not feel you are getting anywhere, stop and rethink it. This procedure is something we need to explore and experiment with. Give yourself time to try out these exercises in a leisurely way and keep coming back to them. Extensor support and the use of the arms. Although it may seem obvious, it is important to reiterate that the most important part of the hands on the back of the chair procedure is the basic directions, because everything flows out of this. We've already seen that although the upper limb in humans is entirely free of weight-bearing duty and is used for manipulative purposes, the upper limb evolved from and is based on an earlier design in which all four limbs were used for support. It is easy to assume that simply by releasing the arm muscles we can re-establish the normal use of the arms. But the arms function as a kind of subset of the extensor system, which must actively support the shoulders and arms, which is where the hands on the back of the chair procedure comes from. To establish the total pattern, we of course have to spend time directing and place ourselves in mechanically advantageous position that puts a demand on the extensors and encourage us as much elasticity and antagonistic action of the neck, leg and back muscles as possible. Just going into monkey won't do if there isn't sufficient release and freeing in the musculature. If you are pulled down, you got to spend time to undo this. I think this is very important. If you are pulled down, you need to spend a lot of time undoing the pull down. It will not happen by itself. To get muscles releasing, and to let go into length, so that you are not just directing but seeing to it that all the directions are actually working. In particular, the back must be lengthening and widening. The ribs and chest must be free. The hip flexors and the inner thighs must be releasing so that the legs are undoing and the knees going away. As this happens, the neck becomes freer so that the head starts to really go forward and up out of a lengthening back. This is this direction, out to the hips, on top of the feet. And you must be able to maintain this while going into monkey or inclining forward in the chair, so that your back is lengthening and widening, with the head going forward and up and the knees going away as the starting point for putting hands on the back of the chair. Getting the primary directions working, either in monkey position or in sitting monkey position, with the trunk inclined forward in the chair, is essential for the arm directions to work. The next requirement is to establish the arm position that is going to link the arms with the trunk, so that the trunk will be supported by the arms and into the back. To do this, we have to maintain directions for the arms. That ensures that flexors will not tighten and interfere, which means keeping the fingers straight, the wrist in, the elbows going outward and downward, and the shoulders apart as we grasp the chair. This hand position disengages the flexors and puts the burden on the extensions, which must work more. All these directions are inhibitory or preventive. Maintaining the length in the arms, wrists and fingers. And we must do this while maintaining the primary directions for the monkey, so that we are building these arm directions on the basic building blocks of the primary directions. The final part of the procedure is to think of pulling to the elbows to widen the upper parts of the arms. We must continue to maintain the primary directions and the arm directions. If things work well, the widening of the shoulders begins to engage the support of the trunk. This is crucial because we want the support of the trunk to come from the extensors, not from the pectoral muscles and biceps, or by coming down in front. If we continue to think of pulling to the elbows by grasping the rail of the chair and directing the elbows downward and outward, we will be fully engaging the widening musculature of the back, encouraging maximum mobility of the ribs and intrathoracic capacity. It is crucial to keep all the directions going throughout, so that you are establishing a framework of head, trunks, legs and upper limbs that maintains antagonistic pose throughout. If you succeed in this, then the system can let go into more lengthening and widening, which brings about the maximum elasticity of the back, associated with a minimum of muscular tensions. By engaging the widening musculature of the back. When this works well, you'll feel your back lengthening and widening hours after performing the procedure, which is why Alexander spoke of hands on the back of the chair as a re-educational procedure for bringing about maximum widening and elasticity in the back, and the basis for learning to get the arms working in a coordinated way with the back and trunk. Let's look now at how to execute the entire hands on the back of the chair procedure, beginning with going into monkey using like feet, supporting the trunk with arms, and we are now into the doings. To pause there. So the first procedure we'll do is get Kalle into a monkey, and you can just try and do it yourself, because monkey is without the chair, so you back like 2 feet from the chair, so your hands are off the chair. There. See what you remember. I know it's 3 years ago.
2 years. Compared with the picture, I should be closer, I think.
No, you should do the monkey first.
Ah, okay.
This is monkey on the chair, is the second thing. So you can let your hands just go like this, down there.
Okay.
So we take the chair as the second thing. Just see that you're in the picture. So I will now try monkey, and the second thing is monkey on the chair. Chair procedure. And I'll start with easy, as the extensors of the shoulders and the back. You just get to feel what's active, and the flexors are holding the body up, like he were carrying a barrel or a heavy stone. So he's carrying his body, and this is what we want to get away from. And that's why his knees are fixed. Yes. That's okay. All this is okay, because this is why we're going to do the chair procedure and other things. We're going to remind Kalle about the atlanto-occipital joint and ask him to think a little, yes, exactly, a little bit forward, not as much, and think that you have a smile in your neck. Yeah, exactly, very good, very good. So once we got him loose here, I want to imagine that he's lengthening without doing anything, just becoming longer, taller. Think of the sky above you, and that the clouds make some sort of scratchy sound. Something of that sort.
Do you think I'm still in the picture?
Yes, you're in the picture. So this is the more difficult. Here also the extensors are not active. The flexors here doing the work, and the flexors in the upper arm we have here. It's a nice demonstration. And now we'll see that the right hand is less, yes, it's softer from the very beginning. This difference is in all people. The dominant hand is much more flexor tensed, not as soft. And that's one of the reasons that dominant hand gets too much work in a tensed way. It hinders writing. So after the head and neck and shoulders, you can think of the back widening like this and lengthening in these directions. Yes, that's very good, fantastic. I think that could even be seen in the camera. Just gonna check the focus, extra sure. In front of my eyes, the back is becoming wider, and also longer. When he's thinking this, which he is now, I will ask him also to see if he can loosen up the hips, so we can get the extensors in the hips active. And we do that by loosening first the feet. Think of them as going in all directions. First extending in that direction. You have 5 toes, and each foot, think about the direction right through the middle toe. Yeah. Do that on both feet. Very good. Extend, extend. What will happen now is the knees become, direct them over the toes. Then going up, and then we will, yes, exactly, this is the movement we're after. This is going into the monkey. And think upwards, really, yes. And down. Yes, exactly. See, we still have some movement here. And I check the movement of the head. There's a softness here. Yes, very good. Fantastic. It's very good, Kalle. Doing excellent work. And we are almost in the monkey. Just want you to get a little bit more out of the hip. Stand like this, yeah. Very good. It won't feel comfortable in the beginning, monkey, but now his extensors are active throughout the body. And Alexander recommend that we do this on a daily basis to get an understanding of what the extensors does in the body. It's almost like learning a difference we're not aware of and not using the flexors as much. At some point, I just pointed them out here for the public. And keep that smile in your neck as well. It's like something funny happening back of the neck. Charlie Chaplin walking around here, somewhere here. So that here is where your skull ends. Yes, it's very good. This is the softest movement wow. I feel one of those ceramic people who do ceramics or something. And you see here now, it helps the monkey because now it's, yes, very good. This is just fantastic.
I realized one important thing.
Yeah, do tell me.
Yes, so earlier, up until now, I have put all the smile too low, where I believe my neck is. But now it begins at the earlobes.
Yeah.
Instead,
you feel my finger here, and I can see.
Yes, so I put the smile have to begin higher up where the skull begins.
It was an immediate change here. You've never been so flexible in that joint ever. Never, ever.
I actually.
This is just incredible. This is wow. I don't want to exaggerate here, but we're now starting to understand a little bit more about the theory, which is important to understand. It is like we have a huge difference in our body and we're not aware of it. We are confusing the extensors with the flexors, and that's a very important difference indeed. And now we're now approaching from the other side and see how we can continue this. Well, very good. And he is also starting to understand the drip on the back of the nose, because it's just going to be a little drip. It used to be a whole river going down there, which was too much. Should be a little, just one drip. This is just fantastic. I'm going to put his hands on the chair, and we're going to try hands on the chair. Soft. Good work. Let's see here. So we ask Kalle to grasp the chair. You see here, it's very soft. It's made out of extenders. Can grasp the chair because he's not going to pull the chair. You're not going to lift the chair, and it's obvious now that you're using the proper muscles. It's a soft grip, and I can, if I want, yeah, I can lift it up. And I remember when we did this last time, I couldn't lift the hands. He was grasping for it to be lifted. And that's what the flexus does. And this is what we do not need to do when we hold the pen. That's a very good example. We need only the extenders to write, because the pen weighs like 30 grams, tops 20. We do not need to lift it. Therefore, the grip of the pen should be as soft as somebody can just pull it out of your hand. If it's a tension, then you're using your flexes. Now we're going to give some of the directions here, and that's the tougher detail. The elbows should have a downward direction this way, and also an outward. Yeah, like this. There should be a possibility for movement. You shouldn't move, but it should be a possibility for movement in that direction. That will release the flexes. Do the same here. I need my awareness. Think of the direction that way. Almost like, yes, exactly, very good, Kalle. This is his right hand. It's amazing to see the difference. If it were me, it would be left hand. That would be less problematic, because I'm a right-handed person. Kalle is a left-hander, yeah?
Yes.
And I'll just add a checkout. Can you just say like oh or something like that?
Oh.
Yeah. So you also hear here it sounds different, and more of the chest is engaged. They can continue to go outwards and in that direction, downwards, following this direction. And add now, and now it's getting more complicated, a direction in the knees going that way. Yes, exactly. Because that will free the flexors in the thigh and the lower leg part under the knee. And continue the thinking of direction from the middle of your feet. And the technical term for what we're doing here now in muscular term, we let your whole body have an antagonistic pull. I will not explain that, but it's actually a bit close to life and death, or life next to death. The directions normally we think would split the body in different, go in different ways, but it's actually just the opposite. They free the flexes. And these are the basic building blocks of primary directions, they're called. And you can feel them when you move about, as I do with this piece of paper. At the same time I let go of the direction, there's a tension from the thumb, and I start lifting the piece of paper here. Now take a pause, and I will take him out of the monkey and we'll do it again. See, if I can repeat my magic. See if we can repeat the earlier success. Go directly to the head this time. See if we can start directly. Yes, we could. So it's still there. Now scale it to tense up, didn't manage, but okay, it's good. Yeah. Extending, lengthening here, like across this way. Yes, exactly. That's it. That's it. Fantastic. Extend here, the lower lumbar region. Start with the problematic hand, and it's so much softer now. This is how it should be all the time when working, and even softer it will become by time. Working, doing things with the hands, writing, cooking, or doing the dishes, for instance, washing your face or brushing your teeth this way, but a considerably less strain on your whole system. That was the problematic hand. And now let's take out the other one. That's even better. Wow. Think of an extension here going this way. Yes. And you can also think of a direction going through your long finger, pointing finger. Yes. That direction. That is the extensor directions that we need to train, establish them, and in the end your nervous system will be able to project them actively. Keep this nice tonus here, fantastic. Think that there is a direction in your feet, forward, going for the middle toes, and I will see to that your back is lengthening while we're thinking a direction in the knees, forward. Yes, exactly. And we can, yes, fantastic. That's even better than before. And I can see both extenders and flexors active, but there's more extensors now. And now if I, yes, think free in the neck, a little smile here, and that drop, which is just a drop nowadays, and this beautiful widening here over the back, and to that you can add a widening of the chest in the same cross-like manner. And you can imagine the pelvis lengthening downwards almost. So the back goes this direction, the pelvis goes that direction. And you open the chair, because it's so gallantly placed here. It will not move you. I'm a bit lucky. I'll take the chair. If Muhammad can't come to the mountain needs to come to Muhammad. I think that would be quite accurate. Yes. I know, with your permission. Think about the smile. Yes, fantastic. There we go. And this time we can straighten the fingers a little bit. Yes. Zoom in here. The less problematic you can, yes. Think of a direction going out this, yes. Here. Yeah, very good. This is what the extenders do. The whole practice is on an everyday basis. Encourage the extenders over the flexors. But it will put a strain on the flexors. For every time you repeat this, the flexors will become less and less active. It's a bit like sitting on the sitting bones, but more at the same time, the whole body. Something that will ease up the tension you're feeling now is a direction of the knees forwards, and you can think there's a backward direction there. And I'll show you the direction. Yes, exactly. There we have it. That's a perfect monkey. I'll also show you the directions here. This is what you're doing now. Not showing the widening, just the lengthening. And here you can see the lengthening that you've done now. It's already done. They are active. And while you're doing that, it's a 5 thing. The head forward a little bit, the drip, the smile in the neck and upward, lengthening of the back, widening of the back, and a direction in the knees forwards. This 5 I give you now. And I'm going to check how well that is going. It's an incredible widening here. I wish I had a ruler because I can see with my own eyes. It's more taut here, the fabric of the t-shirt. And his back looks straighter. And do not try to force yourself to straighten the back. It will not be straightened at the very outset. This comes with practice. It's very good. Now I will slowly liberate you from this position. And we're not going to do it hastily this time. And so we can let the head lead the action up, up, up. Yes, yes, fantastic. Yes, up. Continue the upward direction in your head with your intention. Letting the flexors continue to. It looks excellent. I feel I created a statue of David here. Let's just show the viewers, see what you think. The whole body into the picture. Thus, it's just excellent. Continue to think upwards, and somewhere there you can move about and go and do your daily thing, whatever that is. Reaching for the satchel or a cup of coffee. You can go ahead color whenever you feel. You go out to the position and reach for something, maybe a book. Oh, look at that smile. Very good. Fantastic.